stop doing this. Gym equipment manufacturers, seriously, enough is enough. So check this out. I tweaked my back last Sunday. It's been a week. Could hardly freaking walk for a day or two. So frustrating. I mean, done it before, but it's been a year or more just because I'm very careful and I focus on flexibility. I do lots of other things, but tweaked it and it's like so freaking frustrating. The most common injury other than shoulder injuries is lower back injuries that can derail your training. On this machine, super pumped because this is a new machine to me. This is the Foreman leverage pendulum squat. It's kind of a replica of the Panada. Super stoked because it was one of the ones, I've been looking for a Panada for a while, but I'm not willing to pay 13, 14 grand, whatever people pay for it. I mean, I got it for a 10th or 11th of the price used. I'll make a full review later, but let me show you why I injured my lower back and the issue with 98% of gym equipment manufacturers and how they're making squat machines. Look at the angle of this pad. So obviously a traditional pendulum or even a swing squat, it's not near as vertical. And the other issue with this is the pad's so long. What I love about it is the pad tapers. I'm going to show you how I'm going to take advantage of that in a minute. But because the angle is straight up and down, it didn't account to have a bunch of weight on it. And it pitches your feet forward, your knees forward, and it causes a ton of compression in your lumbar spine. In an ideal world, this foot plate, the usable foot plate, this isn't really functional, would actually come up at an angle and extend further out. I may or may not do that, I'm not sure. But this literally, my feet pitched forward and all that compression went in my lumbar spine just for a tiny second, and I've freaking been taking a week to recover from it. So I'm either gonna just get a new pad or just extend it. So what I've done is just put some yoga blocks. What it's going to do, it's going to actually allow the bottom of my lumbar spine to go right over that pad, which is perfect. So if this pad was about 6 inches, 8 inches shorter, it would be absolutely phenomenal. Or you can actually just extend the shoulder pads to push your lumbar spine down. So I'm actually going to measure just for kicks. I'll do a full review of all these later, particularly after I modify this, but I'm going to measure the angle of the pad in relation to all my other pendulum and swing squats, just for kicks. Now the leverage is so cool on this. I absolutely love it. Once I modify the strength curve, it's going to be night and day. But see what I'm saying? Because the angle of this and the Panada and several other brands, you're straight vertical. The foot plate needs to come out further. And I'm telling you, the pad needs to be shortened. So because it's such a shallow angle, your feet have to be way far down. So I could see this machine being an issue for people that are super short, whereas the Panada, you can adjust it a little bit. Obviously, you can put wedges and things to account for that. But because my feet were a little higher and my lumbar spine was locked into a fixed pad, like all that pressure was compressing right through the spine and not through my legs. And I knew it right away. It was just even for a split second, just a slight tweak. Not even like anything major, but sure enough, it sidelined me forever. So I've got a couple wedges on here, and I'm really shoving my hand against these handles and against these pads to push my lower back against the back of the thing. The other thing I need to do with this, I need to add a bar that's closer to my head so I can literally shove my hand in it as hard as I can to brace my core. It needs a seatbelt too. But what I love about this angle, it's such a shallow angle, is it's just all freaking quad if you do it correctly. Like just crazy quad stimulation with the leverage. It's super, super smooth. So it's night and day difference when I'm out. You want about L4, L3 to be hanging off the bottom of that pad so it can actually curve. Otherwise, if it's locked against a fixed pad, you're going to get axial compression, which is why 99% of hack squats and even some squat machines, you're setting yourself up for lower back pain and injury. So I will say with this setup now, I actually love the pointed pad. It's ingenious to me. In those reps I just showed you, I was literally shoving my L2, L3 against that as hard as I can. It braced me amazingly. It was so freaking comfortable. Because it comes to a point as your back narrows, it's not staying wide. I'm going to add a seatbelt to that. I'm going to add a seatbelt to all these swing squat machines, which is going to help that. But I don't know what in the world the deal is with equipment manufacturers that don't catch on. You're setting your clients up for freaking injury. Which is why at least the Paramount Total Leg has a lumbar curvature built into it. So it kind of forces you into it. Even still, I like to put a pad behind my love the True Squat, but look at how freaking long that pad is. You got to have a pad to pull your lumbar spine into lordosis to pull it out. You can absolutely offset that if you have an upright leg press. You don't necessarily need that to happen because the angle of your torso in relation to your upper body takes the stress off your lower back. Similar to the Body Masters LE4. So again, I will say the Panada machine, I'll show you a couple clips, the Panada is a much better machine. I think it's got a few extra features that the Foreman does not. But again, it's not worth 13 grand. I cannot believe what they're charging. Obviously, if you're a gym owner, go for it. But someone like me that's just eating the cost, like it's crazy how much those things go for. And just appreciate from this how similar the two movements are. As I showed you, the Foreman is a very, like 1 or 2 degrees slightly more shallow angle, which makes it slightly more vertical. But the issue again is the pad and the hip hinge angle in relation to the movement arm that just puts your lower back at stress. The Panada has a nice lumbar pad, and you can adjust the height, and that obviously comes into account if you have a really short individual. They're going to bottom out. They will bottom out before they get full range of motion, and that's the nice thing when you have that. But it still doesn't address the main issue with axial compression. Even with a lumbar pad, even on the Paramount, I would rather have a shortened pad. You would rather have a shortened pad than a lumbar pad. You want, because that's going to go into its natural curvature if it's given room. So obviously the angle of the back pad isn't the only thing to account for. You have to account for the length of the swing. You know, the swing squats traditionally have a much longer movement arm than the pendulum squats, which is kind of why I like this, because it's in between. It's in between the Paramount Total, like in between a true pendulum and the swing. It's not quite as short as the true pendulum, but it's not near as long as the swing. Anyways, it's one of the many things gym equipment manufacturers continue to do in 2025 with all this technology, with all this awareness, and they're still making the same crap. Try making a freaking hack squat with a shortened pad. Try making a squat machine with a short and abbreviated pad and just watch how much more comfortable it is. And watch, your lower back will not fatigue. What happens on a hack squat, what happens on a linear squat machine, hack squat mostly, like the more vertical the hack squat machine, the more this becomes an issue. Your lower back, my lower back fatigues before my legs ever fatigue. So I have to quit because my lower back can't take anymore and my legs still have more left in the tank, which is not optimal if you want to make an ideal squat machine. So here's to hoping all you guys are aware of your lower back health, particularly as you get older, and that you really prioritize safety and stability over freaking sexiness. Because like this situation, I can't stand like not being 100%, and I'm almost healed, not quite, but I can't stand it. Like, and it was literally a split second. It was only a split second of pressure on my spine and on that disc there, pushing against the nerve. It freaking has sidelined me for almost a week. Lots of amazing stuff coming your way. You guys aren't going to want to miss like the craziness that's coming out as we change the gym equipment game.